Hi, my name's Clive, and I'd like to talk to you today about the film production course that we offer in the media department. It's a relatively new course to the media department. So in September, this will be our second year running this course. Um, but it's a sort of slimmed down version of a much larger course that we've been running for many years now. So we've got lots of experience delivering these units, just not necessarily in this way. Um, this is a BTEC Level 3 National Extended Certificate. Okay. Now, what that means is it's the equivalent of one A level. So every student that comes to one sixth form college studies a timetable that's the equivalent of three A levels. So if a student were to study a national extended diploma, that's the sort of bigger version of this course. That's the equivalent of three A levels. That would be the only subject they study. And we actually deliver that course called Media Production. And it's been such a successful course that it's prompted us to sort of bring in this version of the course, which is the 1A level equivalent. So it's more of a slimmed down version of the course to allow students to combine this course with other subjects. As I mentioned, that the full extended course, that's the equivalent of three A levels, the Media Production Diploma, has been so popular. Many students have not been able to study that course because they want to combine it with other subjects. So this has allowed us the freedom to be able to do that. So this course is provided by Pearson. As I mentioned, it's the equivalent of one A level, so it can be studied alongside two additional courses that are also the equivalent of one A level. So they could be A levels or they could be national extended certificates. This course would sit really well alongside any other sort of creative arts course, or media studies or film studies, or English, even sociology and psychology to a degree, depending on what a student wants to get out of their studies, really. This will allow students to demonstrate their creativity in a sense and produce video production in a creative way. It's a very practical, hands-on course. So we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. But firstly, I want to introduce you to myself and Ross. It's difficult to introduce ourselves to you in a time like this. Um, that's myself on the left and Ross on the right. But between us, we've got a good background set of knowledge to help students through this course. And this is exactly what we want to be able to do. We don't see this as school. This is a really exciting adult learning experience for our students, a first step into what it's like to sort of experiment in the real media arena, if you like. Personally, I come from a broadcast background. I've managed some of the biggest radio stations in the country. I did a BTEC in media, and I sat in a classroom just like these students do. And Ross has got some real academic film studies ability because he did a degree in film studies. So I guess you could say we've got a really good mix of industry experience and academic knowledge between us. We're not going to really chase students to get work handed in. Instead, we really want to inspire you to do it in your own way. And when you start to see that change in your approach to learning, if you're not already learning in that way, then you'll realize that you've really stepped into an adult learning environment. And that's when we see students really kind of fly and take off. So we sort of encourage students to really take the time to think about how you learn best and start to adjust to this way of learning. Okay. This is what we call a vocational approach to learning. Um, I don't like to really separate things between academic and vocational because it sounds a little bit sort of old school. But what we mean is this is more of a hands-on approach to learning, allows students to be assessed in their creative ability in a structured way that's very much one unit at a time. So this course sort of prepares students well for university placement or work placement. It's structured similar to a degree in the sense that we do one unit at a time. So we'll assess students at various intervals throughout the 2 years. These assessments, as it says, are spread out on a unit by unit basis, much like a degree that's taught on a modular basis. And it allows students to monitor their progress throughout the course and get formal assessments throughout the course. So, students studying this course will complete 5 units over the 2 years. However, the last unit at the very end, which is externally assessed, is worth double the amount of credits. So, in a sense, we sort of think it's the equivalent of 6 units in total, 3 in the first year and 2 in the second year, but that second one is twice the size. Okay. Our formal assessments are divided into internally and externally assessed units. Um, I say formal assessments because we regularly assess our students in the classroom, what we call a formative assessment, where we're just keeping an eye on their progression. But the formal assessments are the ones that go towards the final grade. Um, so it doesn't really make a whole lot of difference to student outcomes, whether they're internally or externally assessed. It just means that some are marked by teachers here at one sixth form college and some are marked by external assessors. We're a very rigorous sixth form college. We're a very high achieving sixth form college. We set our standards very high. So our external assessors tend to assess at the same standard as us, really. So you shouldn't see external assessments as being scary or any kind of concern because we're assessing at a very high standard internally anyway. The assessment is the same as it should be. So the externally assessed units on all BTECs, this is a main sort of difference, is that they're not really flexible in any way. So submission dates, time frames, and a brief come from the exam board. It's very difficult for us to change those time frames because all BTEC students around the country will be working to the same time frames. We can grant extensions for internally assessed units if we really need to. Luckily, this is rarely the case for our students. We rarely need to do this. One of the reasons why we try and avoid this wherever possible is because the curriculum plan has to continue so that you complete all of your units. And we don't really want students studying 2 units at the same time. So we've seen in the past that can cause some real difficulties, and we don't want to put students under unnecessary pressure. So we certainly try not to use extensions for units wherever possible. So the course is structured over 2 years. In the first year, we study 3 internal units: film production, film editing, and single camera techniques. These are 3 opportunities really to make short films or videos in response to a brief. And we do try to keep the briefs fairly generic. There are obviously some things that you have to do in the brief, but really you can apply that to whatever style of production you want. So, for example, some students, if we have to produce a factual production, some students may make a documentary about something educational. Some might make a factual production about trying to expose some kind of journalism story. We try and keep it, while it has to be factual and it has to have an interview, for example, we sort of give you the freedom to choose how you want to apply that. So that you've really created a piece there that you can take away with you and be proud of and have on your individual show reel. So we really try to play to the strengths of our students on this course and allow them to have the flexibility to be assessed in the area that they feel the most confident in as much as we can. So film production is a standalone unit. At the end of that unit, students will gain pass, merit, or distinction, and that will be the same for all of the units. So then film editing is more focused on the editing techniques as opposed to the filming techniques, and single camera techniques is more focused on the operation of the camera. Going into the second year, there's an additional unit that we will study, and we've got a range of units that we can choose from as a centre. We've not decided yet what we're going to do in the second year. This could be lighting techniques, it could be audio techniques, it could be stop motion animation. We had some ideas about what we were going to do before the whole coronavirus pandemic, but our use of equipment has become a little bit more tricky. So we were thinking of doing something audio based, but obviously talking into microphones has made that a little bit more difficult. So we're keeping our options open at the moment on what we'll do in the second year. But certainly, if you're looking to come to us in September, that's a little way off yet, is the second year for this cohort. And then finally, we do digital media skills, which is the external unit. And that's where we receive a brief from the exam board. They'll give us a time frame to film whatever we need to film for that and edit it. And you basically will have to edit this piece under exam conditions, and then all of that work gets submitted to the exam board. So, by this point, you will have had lots of experience doing this, and we'll spend a lot of time preparing students for this. So it shouldn't really be seen as an exam in the traditional sense. It's more that you're producing something under exam conditions. So these are the sort of key areas that we study. Okay, it's all lens-based. So we're looking at operating cameras, using lighting and audio, creating shots that sort of mean something, editing them together in a really professional way, and responding to a brief. These are the sort of key areas. And if you think about where you may progress onto going forwards, I often say to my students, social media clearly is where marketing is going these days, and moving image is a huge part of that. So producing corporate videos for the marketing world in a cinematic way is a huge area of opportunity for students. We see loads of videos on social media that are produced for the corporate world that are really fairly sort of run of the mill. So we're going to be aiming to teach students to produce videos at a really high standard, sort of cinema screen standard. And then if you go down that cinema route or broadcasting route, then that's great. But if you also go down a corporate route, you've got a real niche set of skills there that will set you above the rest. And if you're able to do that in response to a brief in a corporate environment, that is usually how we're kind of producing videos. So we're trying to combine these skills to give you the most amount of opportunities off the back of this course. So these are the sort of key areas and projects that we study. As I mentioned at the start of the video, we've planned our curriculum based on the success of our extended BTEC course. And we've reflected on that course as a teaching team and refined that course. We've sequenced the units on the film production course in a way that we feel gives the students the best chances of success. So we start off with film production. That's a bit of an introduction to genre and editing and using a camera. And we then go into some more depth with film editing. And then the single camera techniques unit is even more in depth. So we're trying to sequence these units in a way that we have seen have worked well for our students on the BTEC extended course. So being able to do this as a single award is really, really exciting for us, because we can take all the progress we've made on that course, and we've had some really great outcomes on that course, and we can now apply them to this single award. And so far it's been going really well. As I mentioned, there'll be 3 units completed in the first year. Each of these have a hand-in date for the final assessment for that unit. So for the film production unit, the first one, there'll be 1 hand-in date for everything that is included in that unit. During the course of the units, students usually are required to demonstrate 3 main categories of skill. We call these learning aims, to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of that particular area. So that would be to demonstrate knowledge and understanding of film production. The second learning aim is to develop ideas and make a plan, and to show that you can professionally organize your work. And then the third learning aim is to finally produce that plan into an outcome that falls into that key area. So for film production, you would have to do some written work for the first task to demonstrate your knowledge and understanding to us. You'd have to do some pre-production to plan your film for the second part. And then your final piece of work, the film that you make, is going to be the third outcome for that unit. And when you put those 3 learning aims together, that's your entire unit's worth of work. And again, similarly, for film editing, you might analyze different types of editing technique. You might make a solid plan to film some clips, and then you might edit a sequence together for the third learning aim. And all 3 of those tasks make up your final grade for that unit. That will be graded pass, merit, or distinction for that unit. And at the end of the course, all of those grades from all of those units are put together, and you get 1 overall grade. There may be an opportunity to resubmit a unit assessment if a student doesn't gain the marks that we feel they're capable of within the first submission. But that's really down to teacher discretion, and we don't want students doing that unless they absolutely have to, because it's very difficult to manage resubmitting a previous assignment while starting work on your next one. And this is where we've seen students get into difficulties before. So we really, really want students to put a solid submission in on their first submission. And this makes up the overall content of each unit, really. And you can see, just by working in this way, that this really prepares you well for university or workplace. And many of the teachers in the media department come from an industry background, so we're used to working in an efficient way, and we prepare students to work in that way as well. So this should create some really great opportunities for progression by working in this way. As far as equipment and skills are concerned, students don't have to come to us with any particular skill set other than a passion to really do well in this subject area. If you are passionate about your studies and you really want to produce some great quality videos and you're prepared to put in the learning that's required to get there, then you really can do fantastically well on a course like this. We've seen students that have come to us, they've never studied media in any way at all, but they're just really passionate about editing and recording and this kind of thing. And they've put a lot of effort into the work they've produced, and they've done really fantastically well on this course and on our extended diploma. And certainly the teaching team, in the most part, come from a similar background. So we do understand, I myself, certainly in school, I produce things with my hands a lot better than I did with a pen. So I do understand students that come to us with that perspective. So these are the key kind of skills that you're going to learn and develop and be assessed on. As far as equipment is concerned, there is no specific equipment that you need studying this course. We're extremely well equipped as a sixth form. We're very lucky to have lots of cameras, lots of lenses, lots of different types of video camera. We've got gimbals, sliders, lighting, audio equipment. We've got everything you need to produce a really fantastic short video. And we have produced some really amazing outcomes in the past. So there's nothing in particular that you do need to buy. We can give you everything you need from an equipment point of view to do really well on the course. However, if there is a camera that you're looking to invest in, or a computer or a lens, and you want some advice, do get in touch and we can point you in as much of a direction as we can. Although these things are sort of evolving all the time, it'd be really nice to have a conversation with you if you're looking to invest in cameras or lenses or anything like that, and help in any way that we can to give you a point in the right direction. And this really is the film production course in a nutshell, if you like. If you do have any queries, or if you want to find out more, please do get in touch with the media team. We've got quite a lot of staff in the media team now, teachers, technicians, and administrators. We're a very well-equipped, strong team, and we're more than willing to talk to anyone that's interested to come and study with us. We'll always reply to emails and everything like that. So do get in touch if you've got any more queries, and it would be great to see you in September if you do decide to come and study with us. Thank you very much.